So one of the questions that we get asked at Best is why Best range hoods? Why Best versus any of the other brands out there? And our answer inevitably comes down to the Guaranteed Performance System, or GPS, which is part of the IQ blower system, which by now you probably realize the I stands for intelligent and the Q stands for quiet. IQ with Guaranteed Performance System really is why Best. The whole reason we're here today watching this video is for us to be able to show you actually how that works. We can explain the calibration system, we can talk about it, but really being able to show you how the IQ system works, how the Guaranteed Performance System works, and showing you how it compares to other blower systems that are on the market really is impactful in helping you understand the IQ blower system with Guaranteed Performance System. We're actually going to show you how a Best range hood with the IQ blower system actually compares to two other hoods. So we've got here one of our Best range hoods with the IQ blower system and the Guaranteed Performance System on board, high pressure blower with the Guaranteed Performance System. We're going to show you how that works on 3 different ducting runs that we'll get into in just a moment. We're also going to show you how a competitive hood with a standard high pressure blower performs on those same 3 ducting runs. And then we're going to show you how a competitive hood with a low pressure blower works on those same 3 ducting runs. Here's how we're going to do our competitive comparison. We're going to put each of those 3 hoods on this counter, and hooked up to that hood is going to be about 4 feet of 8-inch ducting, and in that 4 feet of ducting I've got an airflow probe that is measuring the amount of resistance that is being generated in that duct run, and that is going to my airflow gauge that I got right here. And then that is tied into this laptop, which will then display it on this screen how that hood is actually performing. So in addition to the 4-foot measurement, all right, we have switched out our competitive hood for our last hood that we're going to test, which is our Best CP5, one of our absolute best sellers. IQ blower system, Guaranteed Performance System. 600 CFM is the rating on this hood. So I already talked a little bit about the filters, LED lighting, really nice hood. Let's see how this hood does at factory calibration right out of the box. So approximately 640 CFM. Again, you've worked with your client, you've spec'd out 600 CFM. So far with 4 feet of ducting, we're performing at about 640 CFM. So my colleague is gonna attach the additional ducting, giving us that 30 feet of ducting, and we'll see how we perform now. And you can see it has diminished the performance. We're down to about 595 to 600 CFM. And the last thing that we'll do is we will put on our roof cap or our wall cap and see how we perform once we have a real good example of a typical household installation. And you can see the roof cap, wall cap did diminish our airflow. We're down to about 530, 535 CFM. So I can already understand what everybody is thinking. You're thinking to yourself, this is literally the worst demonstration I've ever seen anybody do. You tell me that 600 means 600, 1200 means 1200 with Best because of IQ, because of the Guaranteed Performance System, but you hook it up and you show that it's 530, 535 CFM. Well, the one thing that we've talked a lot about in the Guaranteed Performance System is the calibration. The thing we haven't done yet with this hood is we haven't calibrated it yet. So I'm actually going to stop our test and turn our hood off, because our hood does have to be off in order to do calibration. So in order to do calibration, it sounds very technical. It doesn't require any tools other than a thumb, any finger, any digit basically. Every hood that has the IQ blower system has this little button and has a very bright orange sticker on it that calls attention to, pay attention to this. You really need to work on this because this is really critical. So all that a person needs to do is push and hold this button for 4 seconds, or they can push and hold it until a little green light comes on inside there. So I'm going to do that. And if I did that right, the hood is going to start to run. And I can hear that now it is starting to run. So what is the calibration process? What happens during calibration is that the hood is measuring the amount of back pressure that's generated by the ducting run. It's specific to any specific duct run. So we could calibrate it at 4 feet, we could calibrate it at the 30 feet, we could calibrate it with the roof cap on. Here, we're going to calibrate it as installed in a home, with that 30 feet of ducting, with the roof cap already installed. This would be the last thing that an installer should be doing once they install the hood. As they're gathering their tools, as they're picking up, they should do the calibration to ensure that the client is going to get that 600 CFM performance. So what's actually going on here is the hood, I said, is managing or measuring the amount of back pressure that's being generated. The IQ6 and the IQ12 each have 11 different electronic profiles that are communicated between the control board and the blower itself that allows it to perform at a little bit higher level of performance. So what the hood is going to do is it's going to run at each of the speeds for a period of time. And what it's going to do is verify that it needs profile 3 or profile 8. And it's going to measure the back pressure at medium speed, at high speed, at burst. And it's going to lock in that performance that is going to allow an IQ6 to perform at or as close to 600 as possible. It's going to allow that IQ12 to perform at or as close to 1200 CFM as possible. So you can stick around as we go through this and have the hood calibrate itself. My colleague Chris and I are just going to chat a little bit here as the hood continues to calibrate. Okay, so our installation and our calibration was successful, and I know that because my little green light is now solid and the hood has turned itself off. I believe we went through that 5-6 minutes approximately of calibration. We did hear it ramp up and down through various speeds. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the airflow as installed, and we're going to do our measurements kind of in reverse. So I am going to turn on our hood. And again, high pressure blower, so it is going to be a little bit louder than the low pressure blower. It's actually a little bit quieter than the last hood that we had up here, but real marginal. But again, high pressure blowers designed to be a little bit louder because they're designed to move a lot of air. So let's see how we're performing. So we're now performing at 655 CFM. So you've worked with your client, you've looked at their cooking application, and you've said 600 CFM is what you need, Mr. or Mrs. Client, to have good odor and smoke removal. So my colleague is now going to come around and we're actually going to do and kind of disassemble all of our ducting. So again, we're at 655 roughly at full installation. We're going to take off our roof cap, and you can see we're already up to 720 CFM. And now my colleague is going to take off our additional ducting, and we'll see exactly how we're performing. So we're now performing at 760 CFM. So I'm actually going to turn our hood off. So we went from 530 CFM non-calibrated that we went through and calibrated, we were performing at 650 CFM. That's full power. That's the guaranteed performance system. The guaranteed performance system is designed that if you buy an IQ6 blower, you're going to get 600 CFM or as close to it as possible. IQ12, you're going to get 1200 CFM or as close to it as possible. Now, why do I say as close to it as possible? Because there are scenarios where even the IQ6 is not going to be able to overcome the installation. Let's say you've got 6 90-degree elbows. Let's say you've got 140 feet of duct run. Let's say you've got 6-inch round ducting instead of 8-inch round ducting. You can stress the blower so much that it won't be able to compensate and give you that full 600 or full 1200 CFM. But what I can tell you is you take a competitive hood, it's going to perform very similar to what you saw. The high pressure blower in the non-best hood was 525 CFM at full installation. The best hood calibrated was 650 CFM. Now what does that mean? That means you're going to be able to run your hood on low and medium a lot more often than on medium, high, or burst, because not only does the IQ calibrate at that burst speed, that really, really high speed, it calibrates at low, medium, and high as well. So you're getting really strong odor and smoke removal on low, on medium, and on high. So when you go into your kitchen and you're gonna start to chop up your vegetables that say you're doing fajitas, you just turn your hood on low. I'll actually do that here. You just turn it on low speed. That's so quiet, and I realize you probably can't hear it. It's barely audible here. So you do that, and then once you get your vegetables sauteing in the oil and you get a little smoke going, you maybe turn it up to medium. This is very easy for us to still have a conversation if we're having that dinner party and I'm really performing well, getting a lot of that smoke, getting a lot of that odor out of there. Now let's say I turn and I'm not paying attention at all to what's going on, and I do the old turn and burn, meaning I've turned away and my vegetables, whatever I'm cooking, actually starts to burn a little bit and I'm getting a little bit more smoke. Well, I still got 2 more speeds I can go to. Now I certainly don't want to have my entire dinner party up there at that speed, but because I've calibrated at low, medium, high, and burst or boost, I'm able to run my hood here and get strong odor and smoke removal. That really is what the best guaranteed performance system is all about. And then you noticed as we took off the roof cap and the additional ducting, that hood went from 650 CFM up to almost 750 CFM. The IQ6 is actually an 800 max blower CFM blower, meaning that wide open, it could perform at 800 CFM. It's all about having those additional profiles kind of above 600 that allow the hood to calibrate to the trickier installation, to compensate for the 90-degree elbow, for the extra long duct run. It's all about locking in at that 600 or 1200 CFM performance. We think this has been really eye-opening, and we hope it's been really eye-opening for you, and we thank you for your time.